Good evening. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Good to have you back, Dr. James Gome즈, Director of Asia Center. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Good to be back again.
So, what brought you to Seoul today for this meeting?
Yeah, I'm in Seoul this time partly to commemorate the official launch of Korea's National Museum for Democracy. Very privileged to be here. There's a commemorative democracy seminar to commemorate International Democracy Day. And I'm speaking there on the future of democracy, specifically on AI and democracy. But more importantly, it is also an occasion where Asia Center and KDF will establish honorary offices. Mm-hmm. So Asia Center will now have honorary presence in Seoul under the Global Alliance team of the Korean Democracy Foundation, and at the same time we will also provide KDF a representative presence in Bangkok. So it's great to be part of the Democracy Network. I'm also incidentally for this year and next year the Global Democracy Ambassador as appointed by the Korean Democracy Foundation.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so a lot of democracy stuff going on, and just very pleased to be here to formalize that relationship.
Wow, that's wonderful. I mean, it's glad to hear that positive vibes are going on. And so, I actually, a year ago, you shared about Asia Center and your work, and I was very impressed that you're working with global level 2 in Bangkok, and you're a politician, if I'm not wrong.
Yes.
Electoral politician and speaker. So I was a bit wondering that, and I was really curious, what is Asia Center, and what do you aim for the past 10 years? What have you been done, and then what's your aim for people to achieve ASEAN or Asia?
Asia Center is best understood as a civil society research institute with a special focus on democracy and human rights. Traditionally, an institute like this would be found at a university. But of course, in universities around Asia in particular, there's always a challenge of academic freedom. So I decided to, have freedom from academia.
Right.
Meaning, let's be free from the university, and set up a think tank with a special focus on civil society issues, because there are a lot of think tanks that work on foreign policy, geopolitics, economics, business, and so on. But I think you hardly have any in society. So for the past 10 years and more, Asia Center has been specializing on civil society issues with a special focus on rights. Because of our focus, as I mentioned earlier about this relationship with the Korean Democracy Foundation, we also have other partnerships related to democracy. So the other partnership that we have is with the Taiwan Foundation for Democracy. The Taiwan Foundation for Democracy has convened the East Asia Democracy Forum, which is made up of NGOs in the larger Asian region, East Asia in particular. So we have members from Japan, Taiwan, and Asia Center is part of the network, and we are a member of the steering committee. So this has been a couple of years now, and that's another network that we are part of. Last but not least, we are also members of the Global Democracy Coalition, which has been convened by International IDEA in Stockholm. And here, Asia Center is a member and contributes as much as it can to try to bring members and elements and individuals from Asia to be part of the Global Democracy Coalition. Once again, Asia Center is also this year and next year a member of the steering committee. So a lot of democracy work and network drives some of the programs at Asia Center.
Wow, I mean that's very impressive, because from time to time and from Asia, from country to country, region to region, and Asia to Asia, and as you said, Stockholm in Sweden, right? And globally, and you're one of part of the member of steering, and also you're working for, democratic, esteemed organization, and very impressive. And is that okay for me to move on to a little bit of politics?
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
politics.
Please. Yeah. Please.
As Chisenjai, sorry to talk about 2025 elections. We can pass this issue. And I've read on news that you're also running for SDP, right?
Yes.
Back in 10 years, reminisce back in 10 years ago, 15 years ago, there was Senkang, Junior GRC, and then we just talked before we're shooting, but Remy also was, sorry Remy, but he was interested in running for our Junior GRC too. What do you think about achieving electoral or constituency? We're not talking about GRC issues here, but what do you think about People Action Party and opposition, democracy, achieving democracy, as likewise Japan, Korea, or America, UK. Singapore is not doing that. You have less than 10, members, right?
Yeah.
So that's very sad, but what do you think about those kind of assembly system?
Yeah.
Do you think? Yeah.
So I think across the board, and this has been widely discussed as an important issue, I think the key challenge with the Singapore politics is the non-representation of the electoral system. That means, voter sentiment and choice is not proportionally translated to seats in parliament. So although about 30% of the population, and a touch more, it has been increasing over the years, touching on occasion up to 40%, that representation is not translated to seats. In fact, it's a very, very small percentage that actually gets the seat.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I think that is kind of the biggest problem. Now, I think what is important in that case is, across the world, ruling regimes often do not transform their electoral system to a representative one because it's not in their interest to do so. So I think what we are doing at the SDP is to create awareness of the problem.
Yeah.
And to ensure there's enough momentum or concern among the population so that there's some kind of language, concern, demand for electoral reform. Now, ultimately, right, there must be that momentum for people to want to improve the electoral system. Only then I change. So in the meantime, what is the purpose, right, of taking part? I think first we want to give voters a choice. Yeah. Secondly, I think we want to create enthusiasm for actors, so individual actors, young people in particular, that participating in electoral politics is okay.
Yeah.
Right? So for me personally, it's about, demonstrating to others who are interested to participate in election to say that is okay. And the third point is really to fire up the base. Right. Because when you take part in electoral politics and you give people a choice, you actually have a chance to speak to tens and thousands, right? And when you speak to tens and thousands of people also vote for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So over the several elections that I have participated, it is an opportunity to directly communicate to the voters. And in that way, you also socialize a significant portion of the population on the need for choice, the need for politics, and the need for democracy. So this is why I think, myself and others, participate and contribute to Singapore's electoral process in spite of its
upon that, and set about motion and devotion to democracy and freedom of speech, and of course, as you know, and what did you say, elector's choice and freedom to choose whether the party or a candidate. If I'm not wrong, 15 years ago, there's only one place you can, Singaporean government designated to politicians to speak. Am I right?
Yes, it's called the Speaker's Corner.
Exactly. That's kind of crooked system from foreigners, Koreans' perspective. But you know, like 10,000 note in Singapore legal tender, what's in behind government, right? Because I was like quite surprised. Well, $10,000 note, and behind government is there. So, anyways, but we're not going to talk about like Lee Kuan Yew. Government administration is pretty good. Supreme Court is very reliable. People have credibility about courts, but Parliament is the problem. What do you think about this in terms of achieving the?
I think we need to have more transparency, more independent institutions, because all the institutions that you mentioned, you know, in order for us to determine their functionality and transparency, you must have independent. If you don't have independent institutions, you know, then, you know, you only have PR. And a PR that has been promoted for so long that everybody accepts it as true. So we are looking at an independent judiciary. We are looking for an independent election commission. There's a need for an independent human rights commission, which has been articulated, but no way, you know, in the kind of mainstream discussion. And in that sense, we also need an independent parliament where you have enough MPs, you know, to have an internal and robust check-in system. So if we very simply just have independent judiciary, independent election commission, independent human rights commission, and a kind of a robust and representative independent parliament, then I think all the institutions, you know, that kind of fall on the side or, you know, even beneath the prerogative of these institutions can be properly evaluated.
Absolutely.
At that point, you know, we will have a better understanding of the performance of the Singapore missionary.
Before we move on to the last question, which will be ASEAN issues, about Singapore. As far as I've reckoned, you know, Korean Constitution, Article 1, Clause 1, Korea's republic, country, and all the power came from people. And as you know, American Amendment 1, Clause 1, right? So freedom of speech, I mean, loss of freedom of speech and publication and the freedom, like the monumental thing, fundamental for the democratic society. But it's very sad for me that Singapore, whether or not, I'm not talking about constitutional law, but in reality, has not yet to be. So what do you think of the situation of 16?
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is, and I think the situation has, you know, become so dire. There's only what I call the Singapore speak, the Singapore state speak. It's like a robot system, you know. If you meet anyone from the establishment, you know, they all speak the same. Yeah, they have the same philosophy. If you recognize that, then I think you recognize the absence of, you know, diversity in thoughts in politics, you know. So that's key.
Well, I haven't, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I remember your pledge. We're the citizens of Singapore, you know, like, you know, regardless of whatsoever, because I know what you're talking about because I lived in Singapore for 5 years and I was in the Singaporean politics too. But that's very sad, right?
Well, I think it's not about, you know, sad or happy. I think it's an issue. The more we recognize it, and the more we can put some, you know, positive effort to improve the situation, I think that's the way to go. But I also want to kind of flag the caution. Because when we approach free speech, you know, we approach it from a sense of independence, a question of law and rights. But I think as we move towards discussion on the future of democracy, I think we need to also keep in mind where technology is taking us. With the evolution of the internet, social media, messaging apps, and now moving into AI, I think we are increasingly going through algorithm constructed in a manner that the algorithm will now shape us in terms of who we are, what we are, and how we think. So I think moving forward, we need more transparency around, you know, algorithms, whether it is by the tech companies or governments, you know, in partnership with tech companies to put out a special discourse. Whether it's DeepSpeak or ChatGPT, they all have certain guardrails. And the guardrails then frame in terms of the type of knowledge one can access.
Absolutely.
So I think that's the kind of the dangerous future of democracy that we are heading. But the good news is Asia-Center has just established an AI hub on democracy and human rights, and this is something that we will also be actively
Actually,
looking
that
into.
was the question that will actually move forward. So now talking about a future, as you say, algorithms and artificial intelligence, AI. Now AGI will advance soon, right?
Yes.
So what do you think about digital, attaining digital literacy or eliminating digital illiteracy?
Yeah.
So you work with Google and all that kind of sort of big companies too, and you have very spearheaded networks too, right? So could you please explain attaining democracy through AI algorithms or digital literacy and in a new page?
I think what is important is to recognize, and we have recognized it, through our own work, that AI literacy is important for institutions and individuals who are interested in promoting democracy. Now, whether it's civil society, political parties, or just individuals, I think if you are interested in the democratic path, I think you need to understand how AI can either help you or even be a problem for democracy. So I think that kind of initial knowledge is important. Secondly, AI also offers a lot of tools that can help facilitate our work. And for those who are in the democracy space, we also need to know what kind of tools that AI has, whether it's AI, Gen AI, notebook, LM, we need to kind of, harvest these tools to make our work more efficient towards enabling democracy, because we are also moving into an era where those working in this space are also, under-resourced and underfunded, and both in terms of money, but also in terms of human resource, because we need people with shared values and stamina. So I think part of the gap can be filled by us, accessing relevant tools to assist in our work.
We're very much breaking through, but Korea is one of the representative country. I mean, I think utilizing AI with no restriction by individuals. If you go to YouTube and shorts videos, a lot of political things, people can say anything on the YouTube, right? So whether it's opposition party or ruling party. So what do you think about using those in terms of ASEAN countries, for example, even Cambodia, or I'm sorry about North Korea, ChatGPT doesn't work in different way, right? So what do you think about the future of using attaining democracy through AI algorithms, as you said? For example, in Cambodia, if you ask correct question, then they'll give you right answer, right? So do you think those kind of things, as if Koreans do, using social media, ChatGPT, those kind of things?
Yeah, I think the use of AI will increase. At the moment in Southeast Asia, the knowledge, expertise, and AI capacity is varied. You have perhaps countries like Singapore that has invested money for a particular reason, is out there, and a lot of people are interested in Singapore, and of course they're also interested in how much money they can get to fund their own work or support their work. And then you have in other places like Cambodia or Myanmar, where who are very low on the AI scale, so to speak. But I expect, just like the internet, that there will be a so-called market correction in terms of in terms of knowledge, and then we'll have to see how the tools are used. For us, we want to try to engage in the process of AI transformation of people and partners, organizations that are interested in promoting democracy. So we have a very, very kind of niche and unique agenda. And that's why we are looking for, yes, we promote democracy, yes, we are part of the democracy network, but we want to bring that AI element, and also and also to question the need for more transparency around algorithms.
Yeah, I mean, for the last question, last 3rd of December, we had martial law in Korea. Some say incident, some say, coup, insurrection. But anyways, martial law happened all of a sudden. And that can be considered to be a backsliding of democracy in Korea, because South Korea, as you know, throughout the past 40, 50 years, have attained promising empowerment, changing power through election, right? Whether it's parliamentary, whether it's presidential or local. But what do you think other ASEAN partners, 10 partners, or Timor-Leste will come in? What do you think this incident, what do they think? Or what do you think this kind of impact will give ASEAN? Or on the other hand, lessons that we can learn each other from?
Yeah, I think people understand the significance of what happened in Taiwan and in Korea. I brought in Taiwan simply to say I see a very similarity, because you have two societies where the right to speak up, the right to protest against democratic injustice,
That's the first.
is normalized.
Yeah.
And it goes to the fabric of society. So when the network that I'm familiar with from Southeast Asia, when they were watching, what was happening in South Korea, and people were sharing their comments through either, instant messaging groups or on social media, you could see they were all following intentionally. And when there was a change, a positive change, I think it was celebrated. And I can see a lot of congratulatory messages going to many sectors of Korean society. So I think that the value of having that intellectually, I think is quite clear in those who are watching this kind of space. But I think the challenge for Southeast Asia is really institutionalizing it and making it normalized. The only country that we can see that happening at the moment in Southeast Asia is Indonesia. Yeah, where we had the recent, pushback around, labor laws and the voice of, gig workers. You also saw a little bit of it in South Asia among the youth from as recent as Nepal, but also in Bangladesh. Yeah, you saw that. And last but not least, you mentioned Timor-Leste, and we also saw a little bit of that. So I think there is a bit of a roll-on effect. Again, I think the Southeast Asian countries are different. I think bigger countries and like Indonesia, they always had a tradition there, and then Timor-Leste. I think we can also expect some level of pushback. We also seen then around corruption issues very recently in the Philippines, on matters related to public works. Thailand is also something you can watch out for. So I think we have the basic core of these values and efforts, and if some of these countries consolidate those practices, I certainly expect it to have knock-on effect.
So to sum it up, facilitating like solidarity or solid democracy and diplomatic schemes too. So Taiwan or South Korea is still relatively encountering well.
Yes, and I think the difference between Taiwan and Korea is Taiwan has organized its outreach and the transfer of these ideas and values in a systematic way, whereas Korea has not. Yeah. So I think that's where I think this is an internal discussion among Koreans and Korean institutions and people. You have this. Do you want to transport it? Do you want to share? What's your methodology? I think that's the challenge. I think Korea is not there yet, but it can get there.
So still far away to go in certain essence.
Not far away to go, but I'm saying that internally you have those values, But I think it's good to share and also have some strategy.
That's very good.
And in order to have a strategy, you also need to put resources. There are some micro efforts and intermittent efforts over the years, starting from when Kim Dae-jung came into the picture.
Absolutely.
But it's never been organized and sustained.
Sustainability.
Yeah, so I think if you have a program, a set of independent institutions and organizations that are properly resourced, you can make a good contribution that way. So I will leave your viewers, with that thought. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yeah. What Korea can do for democracy.
Our members will work harder, including me myself. And today, so shall we wrap up?
Yes, certainly.
We had Dr. James Gome즈 had a little bit of heavy issues and updates on AI algorithms and also his global networks to enhance and improve democracy in Asia and ASEAN. And thanks for having me, myself, and you again. And hope to see you soon again.
Yes, great.
How was your talk?
Very good, very good.
Thank you very much.
I look forward to coming back.
Would you like to say something? Like say...
No, thank you very much. My great thanks and appreciation to the Asian Vision Forum. It's my second time here in recording a podcast. I hope to be back and also looking forward to working with the forum.
Absolutely wonderful. Thank you very much, Dr. Gome즈.
Thank you.